monumental, Jake.
What's monumental, Scott?
A legendary wrestler had to retire in WWE due to injury, but then went to AEW and now announcing their retirement.
Wow. So Daniel Bryan finally retiring.
No, not Daniel Bryan.
Oh, Edge. Edge retiring.
No, not Edge. No.
Oh, Saraya. This is Saraya's story.
No, it's Sting!
Sting's retirement match and more today on Pro Wrestling Palskis. Hey, Scott Narver.
Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
And hello to everybody out there listening. This is Pro Wrestling Palskis. We appreciate you joining us, selecting us for your podcast listening pleasure. And of course, thanks to each and every one of you joining us live for the super exclusive patron-only live stream. If you would like access to watch us record these little conversations about wrestling and directly interact with us, type right in our faces. You can just throw your words right in our stupid faces in real time. Well, then you got to become a patron over at patreon.com/PWPalskis. It looks like Mike Lucas joined us in the chat. Good old Hackensack. And of course, we must acknowledge current PWP world champ AJ0314, aka Binary, the spooky champ. If you want to challenge Binary, well, you got to become a championship tier patron over on the Patreon.
Quite hardcore as well, because they have a wonderful watch-along match that is hardcore.
Right. Is that
they picked?
Is that did that happen? Did that come out last week or is that this week's?
Sure.
Time is a fat circle, as Scott Narver likes to say.
That is what I like to say.
It is your favorite. Listen, I know.
It came out on the 18th, so it is out there. It's the Rock versus Kurt Angle versus the Big Show for Monday Night Raw in 2001.
Wow, it's a real hardcore match with some hardcore rules, and by hardcore rules,
even one person named Hardcore,
minimum, and one of them is literally named Hardcore. Well, it's one of ye old Newsweeky episodes, and we do have a pretty major story to top everything off. But before we get there,
we got a bunch of major stories. This is a major week, not featuring the major bros.
I was gonna do a bit about how we have a cool story coming, so let's talk about all the dumb shit no one cares about first. But it seems like it's all good stuff this week.
Well, and you can't replace the story orders when you don't do any of them.
No, not at all. Well, I wasn't going to order. I was going to say, see, never mind. You're not following what I was setting up.
No,
clearly.
I couldn't follow you in the pre-show. I can't follow you now.
Fair. I would have been a terrible member of the Wyatt family. Nobody would have followed.
No, you're just a buzzard. Well, there's some very good news that Bill Apter, wrestling reporter, has spoken with Jerry Lawler, and Jerry the King Lawler gave an update on his recovery from his stroke that he received in February. So he suffered a massive stroke on February 6th, and he then showed up at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then he showed up on a commercial break when they were in Raw in Memphis in August, but now we got more of an update. So Lawler had talked to Apter and saying, quote, "I've had a bunch of different things done, and I'm still going to rehab 3 times a week. And probably the main thing that's drawing me back now that you could probably tell as you hear me talk, my voice is not the same as it was beforehand. It's slowly coming back, but it needed to come back a little more before it could go and do just making sense with my speech and vocabulary." Right. One is speech. That's my main one. That's 3 times a week. When I started this right after I had the stroke, I could barely talk. Well, now I go in and I sit down with this rehab lady and we just talk about different things, and she had me read stuff. All this stuff has just helped me day in and day out get my vocabulary better. And then I do, oh gosh, what's it called? Anyway, it's where my right arm and my right leg and everything on the right side of the body is still, it's not hurting me where I can't walk around. I can still walk around, but I don't really have good control of writing my autograph.
Right. Oh, that is that's a bummer. But I guess it's good news that he's on the mend. I feel like the two things that I think about with Jerry Lawler, outside of being a pro wrestler, but as an older gentleman who hasn't wrestled a ton, even though for all I know he wrestles 7 nights a week still, because he's Jerry Lawler after all. But two things I associate with him: incredible talker, and talented artist, which means that the two things he probably gets the most out of late in life, he's struggling with right now, which is real sad.
Sad. He has a great body of work to appreciate, hopefully, in both. So maybe there's time for reflection and go, wait a minute. Did I ever wrestle? Wait a minute. Did I ever draw? And he can look through some stuff.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's listened to the show long enough knows that Scott and I are both very big Jerry Lawler fans. So we want nothing for the best for that guy.
Yeah, and it's also a little cathartic for me to just hear someone else going through stroke stuff. Seeing my dad again today, like going to visit him every day and hearing the parallels between them of Jerry's probably having occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy, and just trying to get everything back together all at once and trying to get the brain to do all the things all at once when you want it to. And he's suffering the right side, as is my dad. And it's just, it sounds like overall it's pretty good recovery. I haven't heard the speech from him speak. I was looking for the audio from this interview, but I can imagine what it is.
You're probably more at this point more familiar with it than anybody.
But I also, everything that we've always learned about Lawler is he's very determined. So I'm sure not taking his rehab lightly at all.
Yeah,
so.
He's not skipping days. He's on time. He is doing his due diligence. Lawler seems like one of...
They're coming to the house.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
sure.
right.
Yeah, probably.
He's not going to them. That's right, in-house.
Right. But Lawler seems like one of those people who, obviously, health given, will never stop working in some way around the wrestling industry. Like the dude, he loves it just too much to do anything. Yeah.
I mean, the Queen of England didn't stop. Why would the King of Memphis stop?
Point.
So hopefully we'll have even more updates on Jerry the King Lawler, and maybe he'll be more comfortable showing up and making more appearances and doing more stuff. And hopefully we get a lot more of Lawler. But right now we're getting Nick Aldis.
Have
you seen this? Do you know about this?
So I haven't seen the latest week. I think it was this 2 weeks ago that the debut, and I'm putting debut very loosely. That I saw that and I was so disappointed in WWE. So disappointed in his.
It was spooky because it was Friday the 13th when he showed up. So Nick Aldis debuts as WWE SmackDown General Manager. Is what the big news item is. He makes his debut on television.
The wettest part.
In our Discord, where we chat all things wrestling in the Pro Wrestling Palskis section of it. Would you say it's a page? What would you say? Like a tab?
They're considered channels. It's the Pro Wrestling Palskis channel.
So free to sign up. There's no charge or anything like that. It's just a place to hang out and talk wrestling. And if you're watching the shows in real time, you can chat with people in real time and just have a little community there. So I watched it a couple hours later. Like I saw Twitter. I saw it on X rather. And I was completely underwhelmed, and I felt so bad for Nick Aldis of Triple H giving a fucking lifeless intro to him. If you want to do the whole thing, he doesn't have a song. He doesn't come through the entrance ramp and all that. Like, that's fine.
Sell him
some semblance of he's an authority figure, and this is why you're going to listen to him. And he has some sort of pedigree. And
Nikki Bell in chat says, the debut was low energy and weird. That's the best way to put it. It was super low energy and very weird. It felt to me like they didn't put any clout into the fans knowing who Nick Aldis would be And instead of trying to sell him to people who they thought wouldn't know him, they just went, yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll just bring him out. Like, it was just so weird. And
If
go ahead.
it was like Triple H had a little
Right.
earpiece, and they're like, "We're doing
Right.
the Nick Aldis thing right now." Like, and so here's
Also,
here's
like,
the guy.
I know that the old ticker is a little rough on Triple H, but he's still going out there doing "Are you ready?" every now and then, every time Sean shows up to work. So, like, you can't just put a little bit of oomph behind his name, even. Not even like an
I'm okay.
So weird.
I am understanding of the fact that if they don't want to acknowledge his wrestling career, or they want to just start him anew and maybe even treat it like, yes, we have an authority figure, and what do you know? They're also overly sized because we're going to
Right.
have him wrestle, but we don't want to tip our hand to that for all the
Sure.
fans that don't know. That's fine. You want to do any and all that, that's fine. But you have to give the man clout. You have to say the setup of SmackDown will have a new regime. There will be a new authority figure. And I have hand selected the best person who can oversee. This man knows Harley Race.
Yes,
This man
exactly.
knows world champions,
Right.
any of that kind of stuff, to have fans go like, oh, well, shit, who is this person? I will Google as I sit here in the show that Triple H and others don't think are possible to do. But something where you go, oh, this new character that we've never seen on WWE television before is
Yeah.
a big deal.
And fodder for what was who was in the ring that was like asking, I can't. No.
Adam
It was
Pearce?
it was a talent. So one of the wrestlers was asking something, and they're like, "Oh, well, you need to ask the general manager."
Braun
Was
Strowman?
was it Braun Strowman that was in the ring? No. Oh,
No, I don't know. In the Twitter clip, I didn't see who it
I'm
was.
struggling now. But like, you have to create fodder for that person. If you want us to be like, "Oh, sucks for you now," you have to answer to this person. Whatever it was it all felt weird, and it felt like they didn't know.
Sure.
Like they didn't trust anybody to care, or they didn't want anybody. Like, who knows what this is a company. Yeah,
They didn't make a choice.
This is a company who does everything.
That's ultimately
112%. Like, this company does everything too much. So it's so rare that they did something not at all. That it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, they come up with eccentric characters, unusual characters all the time, and make a big point of it for
Right.
to have a new authority figure.
Yes.
It's very
Thanks,
weird.
Mike Lucas in the chat. It was Dom. Dom was the one who was trying to get answers, and they were like, and that's a perfect person, especially Dom. Look, even just
Dominic Dijakovic.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. God, we didn't do
Too
we
many
didn't, we didn't even do
Doms.
Doms in our episode last week. Yeah, it was weird. I'm excited he's there. I you know me, I like a little pomp and circumstance. That's all.
Yeah, but that's Macho Man's song.
Well,
so
then listen, throw some lyrics on it and remix it.
Mm,
Rap over
well,
it. That's what the kids do these days.
No, they remixed it for Jay Lethal, but there's no lyrics. So yeah, I'm excited for Nick Aldis. He's getting paid. He's wearing
Yeah,
a blue suit.
and
He's Team Blue.
That's a great role for him there for the time being. If you're not going to just make him a contender.
And there's some chat in our Discord too, where Adam Pearce is in very much a similar role, in that he was a guy whose wrestling forever was more so than Nick Aldis, like a very eccentric,
Right.
not eccentric, a very extreme wrestling character.
Yes, he was bombastic in a way that Nick Aldis wasn't. Nick Aldis is your very serious classic NWA champion style suit and tie wrestler, and Pierce was very much a F you, I'm here to wrestler. Like
You very much FU, very
Yes.
like very loud,
Yes.
very aggressive, a tremendous heel. And for both, I think there's a lot of fans going like, this is all I know is this. All I know is them in the suit, them doing this, and they have not seen them. So do yourself a favor for both. Check out some Nick Aldis. Check out some Adam Pearce. It will be probably pretty jarring from what you're seeing. Although I guess Nick Aldis isn't too jarring unless
No.
you're watching Brutus Magnus bullshit. But
Nick Aldis, that
you know.
first season of NWA Power, that was fantastic.
Yeah, good luck finding that. I had a couple of times where I couldn't even fucking find it.
But again, I'm at the end of the day, I'm glad he's there. I hope that he does great things there, and I think he's good for that company. He's a specific style, a specific flavor that I love it.
Him and Triple H seem to have very similar tastes. So I've been shocked that they haven't been working together for some time now.
You afraid Stephanie? You afraid he's going to go after Stephanie?
Oh, I'm not afraid. I'm sure of it.
You're hoping for it?
He comes up and he's like, hey, look, I know Mickey James is at home, but she's got her garbage bag she's still sorting through. And
That you
you
sent her.
got to be sorting through all this.
Wait a minute. Maybe that was the whole plan. Maybe it was just like, oh, all right. Triple H is going to send her a garbage bag full of crap so that she's just preoccupied with this garbage bag for however long. It's like that garbage bag is like a TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. There's just so much stuff in there.
Yeah, it is.
And that was all to free up Nick Aldis to come work for WWE.
That's right. That was the whole point. And now we have an update on the
the way that you
Netflix.
The way that you said that, it seemed like we were going to throw to somebody in the field.
We are.
You're like, and now we have an update.
We throw them all the time and they never fucking say anything. I think you got to give them a mic. Bill Simmons gives an update on the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary.
Oh, okay. Where is this at?
Netflix.
I meant, where is it at as far as its production, the updatey part of it all?
It's in the field.
Okay, great. Thanks.
We're just waiting for an update. Bill Simmons says the upcoming documentary series on Vince McMahon has a chance to be, quote, pretty spectacular. He was a guest on the Sports Illustrated Media podcast about the project and saying, quote, oh yeah, it's fucking awesome. I think it's going to be the first part of next year. Chris Smith is directing it. Simmons also mentioned that his team had access to Vince McMahon during the filming of the series. However, he told Bloomberg earlier this week that while McMahon will get to look at clips of the film ahead of time, he will have no say regarding the final cut. Quote,
that's the most interesting thing.
Do you think he gets like a cut and they go, here you go, yeah. And he's like, oh, whew, thank God. And then they go, that's not the final cut.
Or that's, they know Vince McMahon's reputation, and that's just bullshit, and they're just putting that out there to make us all go, oh, this is going to be a big expose of a documentary. But it's still...
Well, I've heard that Chris Smith is an alias for Dana Warrior, and now it's all turned around because this documentary is called The Self-Destruction of Vince McMahon.
Oh, it's literally called The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, a.k.a. Vince McMahon?
Sure. I don't know what you're doing.
The Self-Destruction of Vince McMahon? That's literally what they're naming it?
No.
Oh.
Because that's the bit was
okay. That's why I was curious. That's why I referenced the Ultimate Warrior thing, and I was like, "There's no way that's
yeah." But you said all the names, and I was like,
right.
"What? How did you get them mixed up?" Yeah. So Simmons went on to say, "I don't want to say too much, but I will say that I think it has a chance to be pretty spectacular." And he also noted that it will be released in parts, and there was simply too much to cover for a 2-hour documentary. So. That's why it's going to be a series. So I think that's also pretty great.
Yeah, everything is like, oh, he has no control over what they see about him. Like that's like the story going forward. It'll be interesting.
Well, it's something that I've chatted with Warzeka a number of times where you'd think there'd be more people that would talk openly about Vince McMahon. Either former wrestlers, executives, TV people, just all the people in walks of life that McMahon has dealt with and that he's been fucking crazy to, right? Yeah. Like there has to be countless stories, but people don't because he still has so much power that I think everybody's looking in the long run going, nah, I'm just going to wait. So will this finally be an outlet for people to talk? And they go, you're okay. You can say what you want to say, and he's really old now and he might not do anything about it, that they can openly say
Right.
something? Or is this still going to be, no one really said anything yet?
Do we know whether or not there are like really strong NDAs built into WWE contracts?
I know for writers,
Right. Yeah.
that started around WrestleMania 30 or 34, like somewhere in between there.
Okay. More
Because
recent.
I've
more
known
recent than I
someone and
thought.
talked with them that they had put that in there. I don't know if it's stayed this long, and I don't know if some people are fighting it or if they just ignore it and hope that nothing ever happens, because a lot of them felt like, well, yeah, my afterlife of a career, since you don't give me any credit, that I have nothing to show for because you don't acknowledge writers, WWE, is that I can go on podcasts and get paid or write a book or something and do that. And then they tried to shut that down.
Well, the only reason I say that is because that might be one. I get that. Yeah, obviously he does have a lot of power, but also that might be one of the reasons why everybody is so hush hush. But I guess, I don't know, even that, now that I'm saying those words out loud, everybody does fucking talk about him, but it's always like, it's always like, oh, I have a story about Vince where I did this thing and he said this and he's an asshole, but man, I'll tell you what, he knows what he's doing. Like it's always a sort of,
but that's not talking about
face. Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I mean. I mean the people that go, that there had to be executives for all the times, like a Spike TV, anybody that they met and they're pitching Raw to when I was moving networks, right? That there's no way that he's not going, I have the number one show in cable. I have this, and I demand these things. That sometimes he's probably a cool dude and okay to talk to, but the businessman that's a workout nut and a wrestler, and is used to everyone saying yes to him, that those people aren't talking.
Right. I get it. It's the suits, the corporate, coworkers, and it's not just the talent who's worked for him. Which
the building managers, like people that have worked for all these arenas over time, that's at some point dealt with them.
The arena bookers.
He was cool up until 88, and then all of a sudden, turned fucking weird. Or there's a lot of wrestlers that say good and bad things, because there's anyone he's dealt with directly, like you definitely have a more involved relationship, but anyone who's not of the, I hate to just fall back on him because it's easier, like the Cornette mentality of I'm not looking for a job anymore. And so many in wrestling, like you're perpetually always looking for a job.
You want to make sure that you're not going to burn a bridge that will pay you one day.
You can come back on TV, you can get paid, you can go to a Hall of Fame, you can get a Legends deal, all kinds of stuff that is very lucrative, and you can do. Cornette is very fortunate to have his podcast and make that all work and be financially secure. But that's not how wrestling works. There is no retirement plan. There is no other thing. So to be comfortable and going, I know, I'll just say some shit because I'll get paid $300 to do this interview. That wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated, but I don't know.
I just have a hard time believing that Vince would sign off on this. Would sign off on not having the ability to sign off on something, if that thread of words made sense. Like
but that's what this Endeavor, this TKO thing is, right?
True.
Is that
maybe
that's what it's
late in life? He's just being like, well, now is the time for this. It's, in fairness, it's a new revenue stream that he hasn't exploited yet. Like the tell-all book that he'll inevitably pay somebody to write on his behalf. You know what I mean? It's like the one thing, like what more can he do? Like he's already abused, athletes for 70 years, and exploited and he's won capitalism. Do you know what I mean? Like he did all the things, he exploited all the exploits, and he merchandise retail. He's destroyed in retail spaces. He's multimedia.
He's destroyed retail spaces?
Yeah, like meaning like they sell, like WWE sells, they're a selling machine. Like they sell, they've succeeded at many things. They've failed at some things too. Like the WWE restaurant wasn't necessarily the biggest success, but still, at the end of the day.
Well, you didn't tip. So
I didn't tip when I went there, and that was my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think I had to. I assumed that all the rest, the servers and stuff were just the people, independent contractors, or the people that like WWE. It was like the page system for WWE. What are they? Just interns? Like that's the word I'm struggling for. Interns.
Got it. Nailed it.
Bookstore. What do you? Bookstore's just creepishly staring at me. Like, what are you doing?
You got a creepy dog.
Come closer. There you go. Good boy.
Oh, now you're being a creep.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, the point I was trying to make was like, this is a new chapter in Vince's life. A new way to make money is by, for the first time ever, doing all of your tell-alls. I mean, it's like Taker. Taker's been in character for his entire career, and he retires. He goes, oh, good. Now I have a new way to make money, to be Mark Calloway, the Undertaker, on different shows.
Oh, we'll get there. Don't you worry.
Mike Lucas in the chat, by the way, says, that's a shame. WWF New York was cool. I also thought it was cool, but I was 18.
Well, we got more McMahon news. Not Vince, not Shane, but Declan. Are you familiar with Declan McMahon?
I can't believe
you're a WWE show. You don't even know your new favorite McMahon. I can't believe that
Triple H and Stephanie named one of their daughters Declan.
That's right. Shane McMahon's son, Declan McMahon.
Is he wrestling? Is he training? He's down in the Performance Center?
Well, I'll tell you all about it. He was interviewed about a potential future inside of a WWE ring. In an interview with W Online Michael Weaver Jr., he said his focus is on football for now, but the possibility of stepping into a WWE storyline in the future is not out of the realm. McMahon said, when you've come up in this business and you've seen it, I'm never ruling it out. I would love to get in the ring maybe a couple of times, but obviously you have to see if the opportunity presents itself. It's all about the story, but we'll see.
It's all about the story, like Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker for no reason at Hell in a Cell.
That was for if Shane won, then he could have control of a thing. And then if he lost, he'd never have a thing again, but then he got the thing.
It's weird that Declan was already at WrestleMania. What more is there to achieve, kid? You had an entrance at WrestleMania. Quit while you're ahead.
No way. Fucking Nicholas won the tag team titles before him.
Oh, this is all about Nicholas, isn't it? Oh, hi, bookstore.
Isn't everything?
They have like a competition, the two of them, with one another.
Declan's smart. He's like, I got to get the real athletic stuff first. I got to do all that and see how far I can get, and then I'll go to wrestling eventually.
There's hubbub on the floor below me. I wonder if bookstore is going to bark into the microphone or not. You want to share your feelings with the podcast viewers? See, if you're not tuning in live, you're missing all this action, and by action I mean a very high on CBD peanut butter bookstore Brown.
What are you doing to your dog?
Oh.
No, CBD peanut butter?
It chills him out. He's got anxieties.
You should try it.
I should.
You asked for it. I think it's time to officially retire money for Sonny. Because Taker need that paper. The Undertaker launching 6 Feet Under Patreon.
So Taker is just starting his own Patreon.
He's getting into the podcast business.
Oh wait, he's actually doing a podcast?
Yeah, it's on Dragon Wagon Radio, right?
No, he didn't call me. I would do it. I'd produce the shit out of that show. Instead, Conrad Thompson's probably going to do it with his dick pill money.
Yeah, well, he's got the biggest dick pill money. In a post on his Instagram stories on Friday, The Undertaker announced that he's launching a Patreon for a project called 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway. The project will feature, quote, in-depth conversations with a Hall of Fame wrestler. I hope it's him. Because if not, shit.
Drew Carey, actually.
Yeah. Quote, I'm really excited because I've been working on a project. It's called 6 Feet Under. So what I need you to do, tap on that link. It's going to take you to my Patreon account And there you're going to receive exclusive content, not only of my wrestling career, my personal life, my views on things. Jesus Christ, look out, everybody. Just a whirlwind of all things. Mark Calloway. So click on that link, go over to Patreon and check it out. I'm sure he's talking to All Elite Scooby-Doo when he's saying all that. So, we're not quoting him anymore. The Undertaker really needs a fucking Patreon.
He can't be the Undertaker.
He could
Can't say that. You think? I think Vince would be like, what are you doing, bud?
Yeah.
You call him up. Mark, what's this I hear about a Patreon? What the hell's a Patreon?
He for sure could, but the thing is, it's going to be, all right, then we get X amount of percentage.
I don't know what the hell a Patreon is, but that's a great name. I'm going to call up Paul and have him name one of the NXT kids Patreon Jones.
No, he would never ask him to do something.
Mike Lucas in the chat, exclusive content like Undertaker feet pics?
Hopefully. And that's where that Sarah tattoo went. Him needing a fucking Patreon is so absurd. That man's got so much money. You watch the Last Ride documentary series and you go, yeah, they kept paying you more money to keep showing up and keep doing this. It's your merch keeps selling. It's never gone away ever. And the time that he's worked there, he's always had merch. That's where you get some of your biggest revenue streams from WWE. Like, unless that content is something so specialized that it's taking him the time to do, if he's doing watch-alongs or whatever else, and it's like, you got to pay for that, fucking come on. Really? Like, make that a part of your podcast work week. Get out of here. You're taking money from people like us who, doing wrestling podcasts that are actually trying to, I don't know. It's bullshit. Like, you don't need the fucking money, man.
Do you want to illegally redistribute the Undertaker's Patreon content? One of us will join the Patreon, Undertaker's Patreon, and then we'll add all of his stuff to our Patreon page as well.
And we undercut him in price.
Yeah. Well, we probably already are. Well, we'll do it at our $5 tier. All of our Patreon Palskis will get access to the Undertaker's full Patreon and exclusive feet pics.
That shit just bums me out when it's a level of obliviousness to what everybody else is doing. And I get it. You're the Undertaker. You're going to give your opinions. You're going to do that. And it's from the Undertaker, but he's getting ad revenue from people wanting to run ads on his shows. Right. He's going to be talking about 1-800-Flowers and all that other fucking shit. Like, you're going to have to sit there and listen to that. It's probably going to be on Conrad's thing. So it's the ad free show. So you can buy the version with no ads. You can do all this stuff. You can already pay them 7 different ways.
Right.
And then on top of that, he's charging you for extra content. Fuck.
Maybe, hey, do we know if things are good at home? Maybe Michelle McCool is Michelle McDivorcing him, and he's like, I need to pay for my lawyers.
Is everything already at your home? You're like
taking half my shit.
Nick Aldis and Stephanie are ending up together.
No, that's romantic. I like that one. That was the joining of people.
What about Triple H though? What about his?
He's part of it.
His already broken heart.
No, he's part of it. That's a thruple right there.
Oh, he's a cuck.
No, it's just a thruple. He's not a cuck.
Triple cuck.
No.
Sounds like he's a cuck.
Alice Rader, did anyone go to one of his shows? That's right. The one night with a dead man or something like that.
I did not know.
I never heard anything about them either. But those were supposed to be more like inspirational, like kind of like his Hall of Fame speech was, where he was like pulling like some Tony Robbins on your ass.
Was it? It wasn't just stories?
I thought it was supposed to be like a little bit of both.
It's probably all on his Patreon.
Probably.
Yeah, so it's great that for fans that want more of him, that you're getting access to him, but to the Undertaker, fuck off, man. Like, stop charging people for shit when other people are trying to make a buck, you son of a bitch. But
yeah, it's odd.
We got good news.
At the same time, he might just be too bored, and he just wants something to do. And if he's going to do it, he's going to make money on it because his best friend is Vince McMahon. If his best friend told him anything, It's get paid.
If Undertaker needs more money, go to AEW like everybody else does.
I mean, listen, I hear there's a guy over there looking for a final match.
Well, we're almost there, but not quite yet, because Impact Wrestling reveals a name change. And in 2024, they return to the branding of TNA Wrestling. The rebrand starts with January's Hard to Kill pay-per-view, which will be TNA Wrestling.
So
Hard to Kill.
So Impact is officially over. And TNA lives on. Is it? Are they still?
It's not officially over. It's as of January.
Are they still in the Impact Zone though?
No.
Was there a legal tie-up with the name TNA, or did they originally just stop using it because they just thought Impact was better sounding?
Well, I mean, it came way, way, way later.
Right.
This is I want to say even Jarrett was gone for the second time, and it happened somewhere in between, and they just rebranded and went with Impact Wrestling. So it's still strange in that it's Impact Wrestling, and tune into their show, Impact Wrestling.
Right.
So technically you were watching Impact Wrestling and Impact Wrestling.
Right. Impact Wrestling's Impact Wrestling.
So I think it'll still be, they have not made an announcement, but I assume TNA will still have a weekly show of Impact Wrestling.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Because that is the name of their flagship show.
Right.
And it'd be very hard to go, and now it's called Slamsville.
Right. And so in this instance, Impact Wrestling is no different than Collision or SmackDown. It's called Impact.
Right. That their weekly show.
TNA Impact. Right.
But yeah, they're going back to total nonstop action wrestling. And I've certainly thought about it both ways, trying to figure out what's the benefit, what are the negatives. And I can't really come up with one for either unless you're just trying to get maybe a stink off it and play off the nostalgia.
I mean, if nobody's talking about Impact and all of a sudden you change your name and people talk about it, maybe we all go, oh, we'll check out TNA. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
But then what happens in 7 months when no one's talking about TNA either?
At least the 58 people that are there in attendance will chant it.
Right.
They don't chant Impact.
And I usually don't just blatantly tell the listeners because I like to keep it for the patrons only. But I am curious because you are in front of the total nonstop action roster. And is that an official graphic? Is that the logo? Or are they going back to that? So they're not just reviving the name, but they're also reviving the old logo.
I'm sure it's updated.
Sure, yeah, it might look a little bit sleeker. They might.
I think the A is probably a little different. There's some yellow in there, and I'm sure it's made to look old, but revitalized as new.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's weird. I don't think it's a bad move.
No,
but I don't think it's a great move.
Well,
it's a move.
I guess it's just a matter, like I said, of changing it up. And if you have. I don't know if this whole time they've owned the name TNA. Like I said, I thought maybe it was hung up in some legal stuff with people, but
but who?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know who
I think they've had it, and then they just decided after a long time, or the talk of, the constant thing of TNA, tits and ass wrestling.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But that's an American thing.
Right.
That I found out when I went to England years and years ago, and when they did a tour there and talking to a friend of the show, Wrestling Memes,
right,
and other people, and they're like, "That's an American
phrase. Those are American words. They don't use ass there."
Yeah, the TNA meant what you told them it meant,
right.
And it's total nonstop action wrestling. Yeah, we hear that you call it tits and ass, but that doesn't register with us.
I have a very long
I'm sure
shot.
That's the case in many other markets as well, right. And TNA has always been big in the UK.
I have a really long shot. This is a real long shot. But
okay.
The casual wrestling fan, whatever that is, might now be aware after some time that there's a different company out there from WWE, and it also has 3 letters and there's an A in it. So they go oh, we're going to go back to TNA. That way, maybe they'll confuse AEW and TNA, and they'll watch us instead. to see what the other thing is. Maybe we want to be one of the other 3 initialed companies again.
Maybe they found a shit ton more DVDs in a warehouse. And they're like, oh, Don
Right.
West is gone. He could sell these things like nobody's business. Now we gotta make more grab bags again and just fucking get rid of these things.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the only thing that is probably a little bit strange is like Trinity or Santino Marella. I'm trying to think of any of the latest additions to their roster. Sonny Kiss had just joined, I think, over the weekend.
Sure.
Anybody who's joining the company and going like, I'm working in Impact Wrestling. And then they go, you work at TNA now. And if they go, if they're maybe having the Hulk Hogan effect where it's like, I don't really want to call it that.
I didn't want that. No, I was fine with it the way it was. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a misdirect. But maybe they all go, I don't give a shit, whatever. As long as the check clears. But you alluded to it earlier. And it's happening in a big announcement that happened on Dynamite this past week. Sting to have his retirement match at AEW Revolution in 2024. He had his first match in the company his in-ring debut was at Revolution 2021. And he says his final match, and he said it specifically, he said his final match will be in Revolution 2024. He didn't say for AEW. So his final match, but as we all know, no one retires in wrestling because this is Sting's second retirement after all. So
he's calling this shot a year and change. When is that event?
I believe it's February.
Oh, so it's all right. It's not that far away.
And we don't have a venue yet. We don't know what city it's in or anything like that. There's no tickets on sale.
Right. I was gonna say it's not that far in advance.
Sting's already done more work for Revolution 2024 than Tony Khan did for Wembley of marketing what's going to be on that card.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say it's brazen at his age to call a shot like that, considering how, people get hurt so rapidly in that company. But I feel like he could probably make this one. Just don't do anything crazy before then.
That's all he does.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do we have any guesses of who the opponent's going to be?
Well, I know what I wanted, but I don't feel like that's going to happen now.
What did you want?
I wanted a heel MJF to fight Sting.
Right.
And retire him.
It's too soon now for that to happen by the time that February rolls around, probably.
MJF is in full-blown babyface mode. Everybody's loving him. He can turn it on, but it's tricky to go against that, and it's been so long since we've had a heel retire a good guy wrestler, and it just sticks, and you go, that's it. Like, they can hang their hat on it. I mean,
Baron Corbin?
Yeah, it's Baron Corbin with Kurt Angle, I think, and that wasn't even played up to the extent it could have been.
That was rough.
So, before that, Triple H and Foley.
Right.
And we've had a lot of WrestleMania retirements of, hey, this is the final match. I'm going to fight another good guy, and it's going to be a celebration.
Yes.
And it's going to be sad, but we're not actually, we're not putting this next person in a position of they're going to be hated or cheered or have this its own title of sorts, right?
And I feel like that's also kind of become like it became a WWE problem with like the Mania, where we started talking about like Taker, where yes, we did get Taker and Wyatt, and one would argue Taker and Roman. While we might have thought it was wonky, it was still him putting over a younger guy who would, use it in a way.
Yeah.
But for so long, it was like, we've got this big name talent who's going to be there this year. We need to put them with another already huge big name talent, because that's a better marquee than guy versus young upstart. When the reality is guy versus young upstart is always a better story and will lead to a long-lasting ripple effect for that legend's last match.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, MJF is a good one. Who is a really big heel right now in that company who's actually like making waves as a heel?
Christian Cage.
Cage. Yeah. Cage and Sting, but even Cage feels like somebody who's too old. Like I almost
Yeah.
want it to be somebody younger than him, somebody who's doesn't already have a Hall of Fame career behind them.
I was just answering the question, Jake. Jesus
I know.
Christ. Yeah.
I'm
looking
not
up.
upset with
I'm
you.
bringing up the roster right now and just seeing who else we've got as big time heels.
Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I boo the shit out of him. That's for sure. AKA, I watched the show last now. You got the Gun Club, Jay White. He's up there, but I still don't feel like he's in that position yet where it would mean as much as it should mean.
Right.
Someone say Danhausen's very evil. Seems like he's a nice guy to me. Eddie Kingston's still a good guy. I don't think they would mesh in the ring.
I feel all of the guys that I have are all baby faces who would be better off turning heel. In fact, Mike Lucas in the chat just wrote a heel Darby. That'd be interesting. Not sure that I would put him in that position to turn because
by the end of it, he wouldn't
be a heel
stick.
again.
Like they'd hug or something. It's like, you ruined it. Juice Robinson's been fucking fantastic. He would be obnoxious enough. While I think Jay White's a really great wrestler and the personality is there, it's not all the way there. It's not what Juice Robinson has where you're like, I fucking hate you. You got to get smacked. Like a younger Christian in that way, where he's just so obnoxious that if that stink was on him, I think that would really work.
Right.
The Elite are all seemingly baby faces now, so none of them. Like if Kenny Omega was still maybe a bad guy, that could be interesting. Ricky Starks, that would be one. Ricky Starks is a bad guy.
It's weird. There's something about that I feel like, it's not the right personality type. But
I tell you one, and it's not a new match, but if you tell me that this guy retires somebody and you just want to make him a bigger deal, Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Joe would be a good one because even though he's already had a great career behind him, it would really set like a precedent in that company as him being, one of the pillars, the old wise, don't mess with him.
Yeah.
In the way that Sting is presented now.
Yeah. He'll fuck you up. He'll take you out. He'll put you away.
In a different timeline, Jeff Hardy would have been an interesting one. The two of them. He comes out, pretends to be drunk, and goes, I'm just fucking with you.
Roll up onto you. I won in 3 seconds. Mike Lucas in the chat
go ahead.
asks, could Wardlow benefit from this? And I don't want to see Sting powerbomb symphonied.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Wardlow, you have 4 months to warm him back up because he's been cooled off. And he could be that guy. I only say no in that I don't think Wardlow can protect him in the way that some of the other ones that we've mentioned could have.
Understood.
I think there's a time for Scorpio Sky as well, that if you're running with him and he was being a bad guy.
I mean, is it just going to be Edge?
Ew. He's older. Isn't he the older brother?
Wasn't that that's the first time, right? Edge wasn't around when Sting was doing his 3 matches in WWE.
Yeah. He's one of the, Edge has said that Sting is one of the young upstarts he wants to get in the ring with.
Yeah. I mean, that might just be it for the sake of selling tickets. It is a marquee match. It's one of those like, hey, first time, last time.
Yeah, but to me, that's tricky because it's like if they have zero chemistry, that's a clunker and a half, and then Sting's going, oh, thanks, buddy.
Does that matter anymore?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't mean to you.
Ric Flair's last match.
I don't mean to you.
How many people talk about that fondly?
Yeah. Which one? Which last match?
The one that was titled Ric Flair's last match.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. MJF was the guy. MJF is the perfect guy. MJF is the guy that can fucking talk about it for years and years and years. The personality's there to say and do everything. And Mike Lucas brings up a good one. He says Sting versus Danielson. It's tricky again, and Danielson's made it pretty clear, like, I don't want to do this much longer.
Right.
So that part sucks because you want the longevity of it, but
Right.
I think fans would be very happy with the match. I
That's
think even
similar-
if they were a little clunky, it would work really great. Danielson
Probably
would sell.
Probably a little bit better than Edge. Because Edge
Yeah.
is similar in Sting in a lot of ways. Whereas, don't get me wrong, I think Edge is still in insane shape and still very good at what he does. But there's a style of wrestling that Danielson could just make Sting look like a monster pretty easily.
And Edge is new. You could still have a match with the two to have an exhibition or something of, hey, I know you're going to be retiring soon. I'm not going to be the one to put you away. I just want to get in the ring with you. Like, I want to be able to have squared off with you. Can we have a friendly exhibition? Right. And it could be something where there is no winner. It's a DQ because someone who was mad at Sting or saying like, why is Copeland getting this opportunity? And they go and fuck it up. Right. But they were having a friendly exhibition and you get to say like, yeah, you wrestled. You had a TV show, but it turned into something bigger.
Right.
Or Serpentico.
Or Serpentico. I don't know why you turned into like a lovely little Long Island Jewish boy there for a second.
Or Serpentico. Look at him. He's been eating all of his pasta. He's getting big.
Here's another question. Do they just bring in somebody who's not in AEW to have like a
Ric
one-off? Oh no! They're gonna bring in Ric Flair.
I don't think so.
You know, it should be
Who?
Dana Warrior, the wife of his old partner.
Oh, but careful. Then she
In the
might
paint.
become his new partner.
In the paint. Oh, all right. We're
Then
playing all
she'll
sorts
be
of matchmaking
Dana's
here.
Sting. And he's like, that's not really how that
Same.
works.
No.
Do I need a hyphen?
Yeah, I don't know.
And will this be it?
I don't think it will be. I don't know. Maybe. I will say this: like, Sting seems to be happy with the way AEW has treated him, right? Of course, we had seen him do extensive interviews, so maybe that's all just hearsay. But like, it hasn't. I don't think he's been in things there that have been absolutely atrocious. It's not like, he was in the exploding death match. And like, I don't think any of the work he's done in AEW has embarrassed him in the way that I think some other people might have been like, really? I came here for this,
I think he's been in moments that were embarrassing because he tried to do something crazy and it didn't work out.
Yeah, but that's not AEW.
Yeah, it's not.
He puts that on himself, not on the company. Yeah.
Right.
So if he is at
his
that
wife
age,
probably goes, why the fuck did they let you do that, Steve?
Yeah.
I thought I could jump that far. Yeah, but you told someone, right, Steve?
Right. We'll end it with this because Mickey Bell has it. I like the way that he specifies is Sting versus Sting, although he wrote Sting versus musician Sting. The final match is the battle for the name, one and only.
How do we know this Sting can't fucking wail on a harmonica like nobody's business?
And how do we know that Sting from the Police, can't throw on a scorpion deathlock like nobody's business?
I think they should have a live sex celebration. Because we know the musician Sting is all tantric sex.
Yeah, that's going to go on forever.
But we don't know about this Sting. Maybe Tony Schiavone yelling "It's Sting" over and over again keeps him going.
He's not going to know which one we're talking about. Like, it's Sting, and whoever's with him is going to be like, no, they're both Sting.
They're both Sting. Well, we determined it. Just like the man who put Ric Flair away, it'll be Jeff Jarrett.
Wait, are you talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch champion?
Undisputed.
Wow. Marquee match, AEW. All right, that'll do it. We're going to go take a hotline call or two, but before we do, Scott Narva, we got to say goodbye to the live stream here. Live stream, once again, AJ0314, the current champ. If you would like to challenge him for that title, you got to become a championship level Palski over at patreon.com/PW Palskis.
Or go to their house and fight them.
Bring a ref, though. You need a zebra there.
Bring a ref.
Thanks for joining us. Scott, say goodbye to the live stream.
Bye.
747-666-5606. That's the number of the Pro Wrestling Palskis hotline. Let's see what we got in the hotline today.
Hey, there, Palskis. This is Chris Darius 7 from Fort Worth, Texas. It's been a minute since I've been on. It's been a minute since you've been on. So hope everything has been going well. Listen, I got a little challenge for you guys. I have had this belief for a long time that any all-male stable that says they have all the gold when every member has a championship is lying to us, because they don't have the women's championship. They don't even have a female wrestler to hold the women's championship. So, my challenge is I'd like you to place a female wrestler, not a valet, not a manager, a female wrestler into the following 5 stables to hold the women's championship for the time. And please be era specific, be company specific for this. I don't want you to do too much fantasy booking. Stay in the lane. For these following 5. Number 1, we got Evolution, then Blackpool Combat Club, Undisputed Era, the Wyatt family, and the original main event Mafia. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have at it, gentlemen. Keep doing what you do and loving who you love. Peace.
Chris Darius 7, thanks so much for the call. Fun little game. So we got to add a lady into these sausage parties known as championship stables here.
So I got 4 out of the 5 here. I got Evolution.
I wrote them down.
Blackpool
Evolution,
Combat Club.
Blackpool, Undisputed Era, Wyatt's, and the main event Mafia, the original main event Mafia.
Okay.
I wasn't watching during Evolution, so I'll let you go with that, because I don't know who was around, what lady was around that would have added to that as a good champion.
Well, this is in real time. Like, I got to look up too, because I'm not great with, like, the years were
right, yeah.
This, and this was the full roster at the time. So Evolution was mainly active between 2003 and 2005. So what is the easiest way to look up a roster from 2003 to 2005? Because no one immediately comes to mind of.
Just look up the Mania from that year, maybe, or the Royal Rumble participants.
Oh yeah, because women were
no
often
ladies.
showcased in WrestleManias. Then that's
what
a good
am I
idea.
talking about? What am I talking about? Dumb idiot. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to think who.
It looks like I found a page that might have helped me out here. The SmackDownHotel.com. Unless this is a video game thing, which hopefully it's not. But I don't think it is. So we'll see here.
I mean, listen. We keep it a little bit loose.
Bill DeMott. Let me see here. So not a valet, not a manager, a real wrestler in 2003 to be an Evolution. I'm looking at him.
Is Trish still around at this point?
Yep. And I do not go Trish. Like, that is not just a default. Yeah, right. You go in. Because it was all about the
next
past,
generation,
the present, the future.
Right.
And, you either partied like Flair, you're a body guy like these kids, or Triple H, is all about the nose.
Past, present, future, and this lady. That would have been their tagline.
So let me check. Oh, can I just change years on this? How does this work? I can check 2004 because it'd be like, she's a later edition because they didn't win the titles right away,
Right.
So, I mean, Nitty is there, and how great would that be? Tough Enough champion turned.
I'm not familiar with Nydia.
Oh, for shame.
Really? I'm really missing out?
You're really missing out. She's fun. She's cool. All right. Roster didn't change that much. Boy. All right. I'm going to go, as I'm looking at everybody, I didn't want to go with the one that I wanted to default to, but I'm making the story in my head.
Perfect.
Because at this point, I see Sable's on the roster, but Sable was just a manager valet. She wasn't an active wrestler. Those days were gone by. But on the roster is Victoria. And Victoria started out as a bodybuilder and did strong competitions, let's say, because I don't know the proper term for it. And she was coming in, and you could have wiped away the crazy element at that time. Like, sorry, Stevie Richards, you go by the wayside, but she's hanging out with Orton and Batista, and she's just strong, and they're like, she's tall, she's chiseled, she's the one coming up, and it's her. I mean, she's great. She could have backed it up. She could have done it. I know in real life, like she's goofy and funnier than the rest, but we've seen that out of Batista now. He wasn't back then.
Right.
But
It
I
also,
think-
I mean, you know, it would have looked right.
Yeah.
Like there's like I can see that it fits, especially if they're in suits, right? And she is, you know, in like what would you call, not like the pencil skirt that like Lana would wear with the little shorts, but like something that's a little bit more conservative than that, but like of that era. Like she's a little bit dolled up, but not in the way that made her look like she was just one of their girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? Like I could
Yeah.
see her almost
Like
like
it-
business, like a professional business attire kind of.
I don't know how to describe this because I don't know clothing, but
Sure.
The equivalent of a female power suit, right? Like she's showing
Right,
that she has
yeah.
status and money and style, but she's probably able to still move a little bit in it in case like there's a beat down or something she has to do in ring.
Right. Yeah.
So she's not totally buttoned down. But yeah, if there's a skirt or something because she wants to show off the legs or like still be showing off some muscle or the tan, and
Yeah,
she's
I'd
not
buy it.
limited.
I buy it. I think that's a great choice.
Okay.
And we wish she would have had a nice little title run with the women's championship.
Darn
Sure.
tootin'.
All right, Blackpool Combat Club. That's a real specific one. Who in the AEW locker room is like a sort of
That Regal
Real
likes
fighter.
on camera.
yeah,
Is
but
the
that's like a real, but that's like a lady who's like a fighter. Her presentation. is actually-
Abaddon. I mean, Moxley's always talking about drinking blood and eating bones, right? I believe Abaddon does that over Moxley. I'm just putting that out there.
I mean, wouldn't have been my first choice, but
All right. Let's see here. Going through the roster. There's a couple of contenders here because these all
what
seem
about
like,
isn't Roderick Strong's, is she over there? No, isn't one of the like the 4 horsewomen of MMA
Oh, yeah.
turned wrestler, isn't one of them over there now?
oh Jesus. No.
No?
Marina Shafir. You don't know her, Jake.
Clearly.
No, I gotta go. There's a number of contenders here, so I think we got some good ones. But the one that jumps out, I think, first and foremost, that they don't have to be legit. It's the Blackpool Combat Club. They're not
Sure.
great. I say Serena Deeb.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
She's the toughest looking of the bunch. Because I'm going to throw out some other contenders here. Like you got Thunder Rosa, who does MMA training and all that. You know, we know she's pretty
Right.
fucking tough. Like she's a possible one. Like she's up there. Mercedes Martinez, fucking gnarly and cool looking. Like she's up there. I've always liked Layla Hirsch. She's that squatty wrestler, but that's not quite the
yeah.
fighting feel. And
No,
Jamie
but there's-
Hayter
But there's a
also.
legitimacy there, though, that I feel like is part of the brand.
But Serena Deeb's is the meanest looking of the bunch.
Right.
I feel like Mercedes is right there with her though. So who do you pick out of that bunch?
I don't know. I kind of like Mercedes there.
Okay.
Because again, it's like it's a little bit of that like it's like combat club. It's almost like I think of like Fight Club. Like it's almost like that's this, like I could see her like in an alley whooping someone's ass.
Now, are you
Like,
worried
with
though
the
that
rest of them.
she's standing next to Wheeler Yuta and they're like, that guy
And then
can't.
they-
that guy
they-
can't beat her up. Why is he in
they-
this group?
That's not it. You're not wrong there. There might be some problems, but I don't know. I think I believe it.
You got to then look at your weakest link, and that's not
Right.
taking anything away from Mercedes and saying like
No.
she shouldn't be in there. It's just then assessing the group and going like, Wheeler, you got to step up because this lady looks way scarier than you and Claudio.
But that's fine. She
We
can.
all like Claudio, but we're like, come on, you're a pussycat.
I still think it fits. I think it makes it better.
Okay, Mercedes Martinez goes into Blackpool
The next
Comedy Club.
next
who-
Blackpool Comedy Club. The next one is Undisputed Era. This is like 2017-18 NXT. Their roster is not great with the women that fit. It's great, a lot of great women that are working there, but none of them, like the Undisputed Era, the only two that I can come up with that I think would have been decent in NXT at that time. Shayna Baszler, only because like the legitimacy, like there's like a danger, there's like a, it reminds me a little bit of O'Reilly style. Is that his name? O'Reilly, Kyle O'Reilly, Auto Parts. But also I feel like it's so weird because I don't think of Roderick Strong or Bobby Fish as having very big personalities. Yet I think of Undisputed Era as
they
like a
don't.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is I think of Undisputed Era as like needing a personality to be a part of that, but you really don't. You just needed to stand near Adam Cole while he talked and wrestle good. Shayna could have been it, but I also have one that's a little bit more outside the box, and that is at that time, Zelina Vega was knocking about doing nothing. I think Zelina Vega would have added because it's about that attitude.
She's the one.
It's the attitude, and like the Undisputed Era had a great attitude, despite the fact that some of them weren't the best talkers. When they showed up and the four of them were all together, like you felt that like these people fucking ran the joint.
Zelina's got snap, and that's what that group needed with
snap.
When you do the boom and all that, and like they're all coming together and locking in. Shayna's got her own thing of she's more fluid. Yeah, she's the MMA fighter. She's the one that does grappling and submissions and like strikes, but she's just got more of a fluidity to her than a fucking snap. Like Zelina's got that performance part to her where yes, she can take it to the next group and your eyes go to her and she's sized more appropriately for the group as well.
That too. Yes.
And that they're all smaller, scrappier fighters.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like there are a lot of other women around at that time. Like Rhea is still around at that time, younger. But it doesn't quite work. Ember Moon is in NXT at that time. Also doesn't quite work. Like
they boom. They don't howl.
I feel like Dakota Kai maybe would be another one that wouldn't have been too bad at that time. But at that point, they were just feeding her to Shayna Baszler. She was just like sweet little cute Dakota Kai.
Right. She hadn't.
Even though I love her as a wrestler, I think she's a really good wrestler, but doesn't quite match. So yeah, that's I think Zelina.
Part of it is like with the Victoria thing, you are thrusting them in a position where if they didn't already fit that mold, you're going, I hope you can find how this works for you.
Right.
In this group, and that's what you're doing with some of these, or you're hoping like if you're putting Dakota Kai in the situation, you're going, hopefully she would have found that persona that she's gotten so much better at. But at the time, we didn't see it because all we saw was what we saw.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's my pick. The next one he gave us was the Wyatts. This one's real tough.
Not for me.
No? Okay, go for it. Because I'm struggling right off the top.
This is a stealing of talent. Like there was no parameters about this. This is flat out like they were of the time of the era.
Great.
You sign Rosemary.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like she was the biggest thing in TNA. Decay was fucking huge. Everyone watched her. She was outstanding. She was an amazing performer. She was doing her promos. She had the everything. And she just embodied it. And if you brought her into the Wyatt family, like as we talked as like a Nick Aldis type of thing of this is a person that maybe a lot of people heard about but didn't see.
Right.
And you don't probably bring her in as the Rosemary character.
I was going to say,
elements of she's more of a normal sweet girl and then having the turn and seeing that she's capable of darkness or any level in between that she can do. She's a theater kid. Like she can fucking nail it and do it, and she can wrestle. She could have done it all, and she had already had this amazing demo reel of look how far I can go.
And she could play in that world in a way that wouldn't feel ham-fisted the way that it did, when Alexa Bliss had to do it. Even though I think Alexa Bliss did great. But yeah.
She did it in the super produced WWE way of like, we know what horror is. What was the last horror movie you guys saw?
Right. Yeah.
The Exorcist.
Scary movie. Right. Sure.
But they've done other ones.
So the last one is TNA's Main Event Mafia, the original Main Event Mafia, who is what? That's I don't even know who the original is. Is that Big Papa Pump and Sting and someone?
Nash, Booker T, Kurt Angle.
So many of them. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a mafia of main eventers.
Who would have thought?
It was great. It was a great idea for group. Great look because they all fucking rock suits.
Okay.
Really cool time. And that was, I'm trying to see what year that started.
2013. I just looked it up.
That was the second incarnation.
Oh, I'm sorry. 28, 2008.
28.
Kurt Angle is it says original leader in 2008, the Main Event Mafia.
Well, this one is pretty easy to me as well.
So they did bring in Tracy Brooks eventually.
Yeah. They brought in a couple of people. You saw the acclaimed match of Charmel versus somebody else they tried to bring in there for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. That was fantastic. That was the best TNA match I've ever seen.
I just want to get...
Who's your no-brainer?
My no-brainer is, because she did show up in 2013 for a little bit, and it's Joni Lore.
Who's that?
That's China.
Oh, I don't think I committed her real name. Okay. That would have made perfect sense.
She was there for a brief period of time in 2013, and I know there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in her life personally and everything, but when you're making a main event Mafia and these are the biggest names that the company has and that they've been huge names in other places and all the other companies,
right?
That she's the no-brainer of, this is our woman's champ. This is our one to back up with the rest of the guys, and she's a fucking badass in every single way. And then you also put her in main events over on TNA.
Yeah, that is a no-brainer.
But that is the second incarnation. That is not the original.
Right. That's fine.
Because guys are slow to progress. They would figure out by the second go around after they have to slept on the couch.
Women mature sooner. That's just a fact.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's why in middle school
balls drop sooner.
That's why in middle school all the girls are like 2 feet taller than all the guys are. And it's just sort of like, oh, then you have to catch up.
There you go.
Well, this was a very fun question, Chris Daria 7. I like games like this.
Groups with girls.
747-666-5606. That's the number of the Pro Wrestling Palskis hotline if you want to ask your questions. You could also send a voice memo to hotline@pwpalskis.com. That's hotline@pwpalskis.com. That'll do it for this week's show. Hey, check out the shop. Brand new merchandise there in the shop. We got a lovely little PWP hoodie, real soft, cozy pullover hoodie, hats. We got phone cases. Keep your phone protected so that when you go to a wrestling show and you're holding it up, taking a picture of it, and a wrestler grabs it from you and then hits some guy over the head with it and then takes a selfie with it, even though you didn't ask for any of that to happen.
Yeah.
Make sure your lovely Samsung Galaxy or iPhone is protected in a well-made, lovely, and beautifully designed PWP phone case. That obviously and all the great shirts you know to love and much more at dragonwagonshop.com. Check out the shop now. And,
footy pajamas coming soon?
No footy pajamas. You can't do that because even though I know it's a bit and you know it's a bit, I'll get 10 fucking emails about when the footy pajamas are coming.
Oh, man. Make it 11, everybody.
Well, that'll be you. You're going to be the 11th one.
Footy pajamas. Need them. Want them.
What else? Hey, leave a rating review. Been a while since you did that over on Apple Podcasts. You could also leave a rating at Spotify. You can't write and tell us how bad we are, but you can give us your star rating. And follow us on all the socials at PW Palskis. I'm at Jake Lloyd Bacon. He is at Scott Narver. And I think the last thing we got to do is
I got one more thing as well that I want to plug.
Okay, plug the things.
It's Halloween time, people, and it's being dubbed as more of a Halloween type seasonal movie. So Dave Made a Maze. It's a movie that I am in, a feature-length motion picture. It's available on many streaming services. It's you got Peacock if you're listening to the show. So it's available on there. It's available on Amazon Prime. I think it's still available on Shudder. You can search for Dave Mays. It's available in many places. You can also buy the DVD and Blu-ray or just buy it digitally as well. Wrestler Johnny TV is in it, formerly known as John Morrison. He's in the movie along with many, many other people, and it's a fun Halloween-esque film. So go check that out.
And the last thing we got to do, of course, is thank our current Pro Wrestling Palski patrons.
Yes, the only show where you can get a Retribution name and a Maximum Male model name. So thank you to AJ0314, aka Binary, aka Matrice69, aka the current PWP champ, Alex Pierce, aka Figs, aka Zitoys, Alice Raider, aka Invasion, aka Yves Joie, Andrea Beeler, aka Pollen Hate, aka Etchu Detest, Curtis Mason, aka Hurtus, Gilbert Short, aka Goliathon, aka Batal Underus, Matt Slama, aka Spitz, aka Jakara Lover, Miguel Diaz, aka Bipod, aka Too Much Husk, Mike Lucas, aka Hackensack, aka Luge Testicle, Suicide, aka AKA, Tim Bemis, aka War Trek, Tim Redbeard, aka Bloodfuzz, aka Blue Diffuse, Tom Hader, aka Cupid, and Tony Griggs, aka Big Griggs, aka Grand Grisois.
Thanks to each and every one of you for your continued support of the program. Patreon's the best way for you to help us keep the lights on. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you had fun today. It's always a blast hanging out with you, the Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Internet! I'm Coy Jandro, a Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and people. And I host Coycast. It's a podcast about all those things. If it fits in on a con floor, we talk about it on Coycast. Myself and producer Jake do previews, reviews, deep dives, and tinfoil hat theories about everything from movies, TV, and the comic books themselves. I also like to dish out comic recommendations from my 100-plus pull list a week so you know what's best to buy. So join us, True Believer, on Coycast.com or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Dragon Wagon.